I'm not going to blame Justin Fields for this debacle of a game. You travel all the way from New York to London. That's a long, long travel. The Broncos really, I thought, would be at this point 5-1 at worst. The Broncos have not had a good season. They have not. Their defenses looked really, really good. Their offense has been a shell of what they were last year. Maybe because of a lack of offensive weapons. They added Mr. Pothands himself in the offseason. He made a couple of grabs. Cortland Sutton is a sensational wide receiver, but they don't have any secondary wide receivers on this team, and it's not going to be Franklin. I know everybody wants to believe that. Franklin is a decent wide receiver. He's not a number 2. The Jets, all season long, has looked like a peewee football team. You want to blame Aaron Glenn? So be it. The coach is going to get a lot of the heat. It usually happens that way. The quarterback is usually going to get the second most of the heat when the team isn't playing well, especially the offensive side of the ball. Justin Fields did not look good. If you look at his numbers and his struggles, 9 completed passes out of 17, 45 passing yards, sacked 9 times. His quarterback rating was 58.7. Here's the problem right now for the New York Jets, and I don't care what anybody says. The problem with the Jets is they can't run the ball. They cannot run the ball. Breece Hall had 22 attempts to rush the ball, only 59 yards. He was averaging 2.7 a rush. In the NFL, if you're rushing less than 3.5 a rush, it's bad. Bad. And when Justin Fields is your number 2 rusher, there's a problem there. And he had 7 carries for 31 yards. He averaged more yards per carry than their star running back in Breece Hall. Breece Hall is up for a contract at the end of the season. He has not looked good. He's been up and down. He had one really unbelievable game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then has been up and down really for the last 6 games. 5 games, because it's week 6. They have nobody besides Garrett Wilson when it comes to their playmakers. Taylor's going to be a playmaker in the future. He's still young. Tight ends take 3 years to develop. I don't expect Taylor to really pick up this offense as quick, being that he comes from LSU and it comes from a college. Tight ends take a little bit longer because you're going to have to do a lot of different things. You're going to have to block. You're going to have to catch. You're going to have to run routes. In an NFL-style game, it's not that easy for a tight end. The Jets are not a good team. They're not. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not Giant fans out there thinking, well, we beat the Eagles and we got Scatterboo and we got Dart where we look like we're going to be a Super Bowl contender in 2 or 3 years. And I'm not taking shots at the Giants. I'm just speaking facts here. Both teams are not good. They're not. And the Jets, to me, with the roster that they have more talent than the Giants, but the talent that they have on their roster are not being used in the right, proper way. So everybody's going to say, it's Aaron Glenn's fault. It's Steve Wilks' fault. Aaron Glenn hired Steve Wilks. Everywhere Steve Wilks has gone as a defensive coordinator, even as a head coach, he was fired in 1 year by the Arizona Cardinals. Why? Why? How many coaches in the NFL get fired in just 1 year? There were stories coming out. Many teams have said that Steve Wilks has worked for, and coaches that have worked beside Steve Wilks have said Steve Wilks is not a people's person. He doesn't get along with a lot of his players. He has his own way of doing things. So my question to Aaron Glenn is, if you know this, and I understand you're friends with Steve, why did you choose Steve Wilks to be your defensive coordinator? Now, I love Aaron Glenn. I think Aaron Glenn is the coach of the New York Jets and their future. I think he's sensational. I think he has all the ability and the greatness to be a great Jets head coach in the future. I like the fact that he's a Bill Parcells disciple. We've heard many people say that, including Campbell, saying that he believes that this guy is going to be a sensational head coach in the NFL. Might take him a little while. The fact is, there is nothing that tells me right now that this team can't compete. If you look at every single game this year, besides the Buffalo Bills game, the Jets have been in every single game. They should have beaten Pittsburgh. They should have. Mistakes happened in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes left of the game. The Jets had an 8-point lead at one point in the fourth quarter. They choked. You look at all these games. Yesterday, they had the ball with less than a minute left. Justin Fields was on the 50. All he had to do was run. Instead, he ran backwards They made a couple of play mistakes at the line of scrimmage, the offensive line. And I'm going to say this, the Jets' strength right now is their offensive line. But the last 2 weeks, they have not looked good. And again, there's seams that need to be cleaned up. That doesn't mean the Jets are going to go 0-17 this year. I don't believe they will. I think the Jets will find a way to win at least 1 or 2 games. Do I think the Jets are the worst team right now in the NFL, even though they're the only team right now in the NFL not with a win? No. I think they're better than the Browns. I think they're better than the Titans. I think they're better than a lot of these teams that have 1 to 2 wins. Just bad luck. And in certain parts of the game, the Jets can't close. They can't. And they don't have a quarterback that can do the things that you want, not just a one-dimensional, a guy that can run and throw, be a mobile quarterback and throw in the pocket. Justin Fields has proven as a professional NFL player that he is not a guy that can step into the pocket and make every single throw. He has not developed that part of his game. And because he hasn't developed that part of his game, he's become a one-dimensional type of quarterback. Every single team knows what he is going to do when he steps back and he can't throw in the flats. He's going to run. The only player he's throwing to is Garrett Wilson. And that has something to do with the GM. And I think Moogie, he's new. This is his first year. He came in with Aaron Glenn. Did I like that they decided to bring in Aaron Glenn before Moogie? I thought, in my eyes, you usually bring in the GM first, right? That's what you usually do. Didn't the Jets bring in Aaron Glenn first?
Yeah.
And then they brought in the GM?
I think Moogie was the last GM that was hired.
Right. That's the problem with the New York Jets. They do everything lopsided. When you look at Moogie, and I'm not taking shots at Moogie. I think Moogie might be a good GM. I love what he did with the Broncos. He was with the Broncos for 12, 13 years. He was a part of the Super Bowl champion Broncos. He was part of some of the draft picks that they made over the years. The Broncos' success, pretty much, he didn't. And Moogie was the one that didn't want Russell Wilson, if you've heard the stories. The problem right now with the New York Jets has a lot to do with the lack of talent, playmakers on this roster. They can't run the ball. The coaching has been lopsided. The offensive coordinator. Now, the Jets are going to say he's a rookie offensive coordinator, and the Jet fans are going to say, well, maybe they made the wrong decision bringing in a rookie offensive coordinator. We won't know what this kid is until the 3rd year. And the Jets are still a team that needs to figure out who they are, what their identity is. And it's not going to be this year. My opinion here is if the Jets want the fans to follow in their lead with this team and this roster and their future with Aaron Glenn, they're going to have to win against teams they should beat. Miami is coming up again in the next couple of weeks. They got to beat Miami. They lost against Miami a couple of weeks ago. They have to beat Miami. They're going to have to beat the Patriots one of the times they play them. They haven't played them yet, but when they do, they're going to have to beat the Patriots. If the Jets can pull off 2 wins and stay close in every single game, then the fans have something to look forward to next year. If you look at the Jets with the Robert Saleh era, the Robert Saleh era, the Bambi Saleh era, the Jets would either win a very close game because they play prevent defense and give the game away practically when they have a 10-point lead with 3 minutes left, or what the Jets have always been known to do is they just completely get killed. By the beginning of the game, you already know the game is over because they're down by 17 in the first quarter. That was the Robert Saleh era. That is not the Aaron Glenn era. It hasn't been yet. So fans, take a step back. Breathe a little bit. I have been a Jet fan my whole life. I have seen some bad coaches. Bad. Rex Ryan might be the best one. There's one right now with Baker Mayfield that was not successful here. He had 1 good season with the Jets his first year in Todd Bowles. Now look at him. Baker Mayfield looks like he's an MVP candidate, and he looks like he could be up for Coach of the Year. That's how quick it could turn. You have to take a step back and understand that this is not a winning organization. I'm not going to be sitting here like, and I know Fish is going to come out and he's going to do things, and he hates the Jets, and a lot of Giant fans can't stand the New York Jet fans. Gang Green, it's the worst name. I think it's the worst football name in professional sports. It's terrible. You can't sit here and tell me what the Jets have done so far this year and the way they've looked, that this doesn't look like a better team. They look better than they have. They have been in every single game, consistently throughout the first game all the way to the sixth game. Now, I'm not going to cheer for that. I'm not going to jump for joy for that. But that's something. That is something. Detroit, the Lions, Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn was a part of that growth and that team. He was the defensive coordinator when Dan Campbell hired Aaron Glenn to be his defensive coordinator. And if you remember, Aaron Glenn was the quarterback coach of the Saints under Sean Payton. Does anybody know that? I'm going to spit some facts to you guys. Who is Sean Payton? Sean Payton is a disciple of who? Bill Parcells. Dan Campbell, who is he a disciple of? Bill Parcells. Now, you look at Bill Parcells and his record everywhere he's gone. Is Bill Parcells one of the greatest coaches of all time? You would probably say yes. And every single coach that I can remember that comes from that tree, Bill Belichick, one of the greatest of all time. Tom Coughlin, one of the greatest of all time. I don't know. Sean Payton, one of the greatest of all time. Dan Campbell, he's pretty great right now. He won Coach of the Year last year. Every one of these guys that come from the Bill Parcells tree is usually successful. And it takes a little while to figure things out. When Tom Coughlin came to the Giants, were they winning? They weren't. Their first 2 years was blah. Then they made a move for Eli Manning. It took a year. They brought in Kurt Warner. 6 games in, Tom Coughlin took it on a whim. He decided to move on from Kurt Warner. They brought in Eli Manning in week 5 or 6 when the Giants had a winning record. That year, the Giants did not make the playoffs, guys. They did not. But did Tom Coughlin make the right choice? He did. Aaron Glenn is not a stupid man. This guy was a successful player in the NFL. He was one of the best corners in the 90s. For 4 years, he was an elite corner, a Pro Bowl corner. He knows a little bit about the game. Here's another problem with the Jets that people don't see. The secondary on this roster is really, really bad. Besides Sauce, what do they got? They brought Brownlee in to play safety. Brownlee, who they drafted as a wide receiver. They brought in Moore from Alabama. He was a 4th-round talent. Everybody thought that this guy's been horrible. Adams, I thought he was going to be good. He fit the Robert Saleh craft. He's there. He lost his job. This team is not good in the secondary. Their front 7, Quinn Williams is good. Will McDonald, he looked good in the first game. He hasn't had a sack since the first game. He had 2 sacks in the first game. He has not had a sack since the Pittsburgh game. The Jets are one of the worst at putting pressure on the opposing quarterback. Why, guys? Because Steve Wilkes is doing the most ridiculous things. And everybody's going to say, well, what do you see, Errol? What do you see? Here's what I see. Ever since Quincy Williams went down, they have no pass rush up the middle. They have nothing. Now they're trying to go on the edges, and Jermaine Johnson is just not that guy. Honestly, Jermaine Johnson should be a middle linebacker. He's a run stopper. He's not a defensive end. They need to shift him to the linebacker position. If they bring him back, he's not going to get paid a lot of money because he's not had a good season. You move him to the middle linebacker position. Remember, when he played college ball, what position was he playing in Florida State, Speedy?
He was an outside linebacker.
He was a linebacker. And that's where he should be. He should not be a defensive end. Will McDonald, I think he is an efficient defensive end, but he's not a number 1. He's a good number 2. They need to find a prominent pass rusher. Now, they don't grow on trees, guys. But there are going to be guys that are going to be available next year that the Jets should be looking at. Veteran guys that can help guys like Will McDonald. How about this? Von Miller, even though he's not the same player he once was, he signed a 1-year deal. I forget who he's playing for this year. I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure he's with Washington. I could be wrong.
I think he is with Washington. He is with Washington right now. Von Miller becomes available in the offseason. I'd bring Von Miller in. I'd bring him in. I'd bring a veteran guy in to help Will McDonald develop. By the way, who did Will McDonald break? What record did he break in college to become the most efficient pass rusher in his conference? Von Miller. So you look at it and you understand that the Jets need to be a little bit smarter. Stop pointing fingers. Stop blaming somebody. This is not a winning season. This is not a winning roster. Any Jet fan sitting here today listening to me understands that this team is not A good one.